All
Oh wait, I'm
right.
naked.
Ah!
Suddenly, Adam's naked. What?
Twitch ban.
I
me get
feel
this- let
like
me get-
that every time I need to turn the stream live, you're looking at my butt.
Good way to get views.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, what happened last time?
Boy,
Good stuff.
Not much.
I have 88 lines of notes.
What?
What?
From
From the
last session?
Jinx, you owe me a Coke. You better
Yeah,
deliver.
Jack's got a map of where we went.
Change the map. Is it right now?
Yeah.
I think so.
It's a fish hook.
Nice.
No, the one thing that you don't have correctly is where you came in. You came in straight east to west.
So just rotate.
No.
Are you going to show that, Spencer?
And then you did a J hook. Yeah, I sent you guys a picture once upon a time.
I
There.
know. I was
Perfect.
Yeah, got
Okay.
it.
I'm scrolling.
So last time, Joan was waiting for us at the inn. And we ventured off with Joan. The population of the city is increasing with the exodus from the pillars. Is it a number of pillars or just the pillars?
The pillars.
Pillars.
All the 5 islands that the tropical hewn live on are referred to collectively as the pillars.
Okay.
Maybe 'cause
So
his armor looks different.
Oh, that's right.
right.
His armor looks different.
His new lighter, slightly more sneaky suit.
Zero
It's
Suit
been-
Samus.
Zero
It's
Suit
been a-
Samus suit.
It's been a week since we've arrived in Orin, which is also interesting.
Just a week?
That's what's in my notes.
We had established that it had been a week.
I think it's been about a week. Yeah.
Yeah, feels much longer.
Well, that week has taken. We're up to 11 sessions. So
I mean, yeah. Usually, game time passes more quickly than real life, but it's the opposite.
Except with this group.
well, so to be fair, you did spend like 3 months on a boat.
I mean, yes, that is true.
I mean, time again also is still passing faster in the game because we've been playing for 5 months.
Anyway, continue, Barnabas. Sorry.
Yeah. So we strike, and my notes are sparse, so feel free to interject. We strike out west towards the mountain. Tizelle did see something in the distance, but it didn't get close enough to us to cause any issues.
But we skipped like a whole section. Sorry.
Oh, did I?
Joan's got a little red wagon that she's pulling with her. We went to go visit the Magister. He was sleeping.
We gave him the rundown of what Tizal saw.
Yeah,
over
we
top
told
of
him
the water.
all the stuff about the city. Tizal explains the environments of the areas, and we had some conjecture there.
Spencer did. Tizal didn't remember.
We discussed the city, potential origins, the gradients of growth, etc. Revan may be able to speak to the Kraken if we can get close enough to it and safely, so that could be pretty neat. Council
We also
gave
might
the
get eaten.
I mean, yeah,
You guys want a TPK? Just go ahead and talk to a Kraken.
that's win-win.
Let's go for a swim, guys.
In fairness, if there's any one of us that would be safe to be eaten, it would be you. Because you would just
You
explode
explode.
from the inside.
Kill it, because we'll feed it Revan.
Yes.
Mhm.
Thank
There
you.
you go.
End game.
Council
We got a backup plan. Take your time, Bob.
Council gave the Magister his proposal of city stuff that the Magister was asking about. And then we left. Started heading west with Joan and her little
I
wagon.
just want to share one quick thing, Barnabas. My notes also then went to talk about the behemoth in the distance. That was the next thing I wrote down. You're muted, Barnabas.
Muted.
When I'm not taking notes, it means one of 3 things. Sometimes it means I'm distracted and I'm not paying attention. Sometimes it means I'm role playing really intensely and paying so much attention I'm in character and not taking notes. And the other reason is I'm really enthralled in someone else's role playing and not
Yeah.
taking notes. I'm
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
ooh, this is
That's
thrilling.
usually my I end up. It's usually
I'm usually in 2 or 3.
in the game or listening to someone else. I'm a really bad note taker. I can draw line maps though.
I describe everything everyone says, and it works out.
Mhm. So then it started to rain when we got near the mountains,
Yes.
and blooming cactuses came out of nowhere, like a sparse desert rain, which is kind of cool.
I missed that part.
Blooming
That's cool though.
cactuses?
Yeah.
That near the base of the mountains, there was some amount of foliage
Hmm.
and cactuses with brightly colored fruits.
Cacti.
Cactus.
So
Hippopotami.
then I thought it was a murder of cactus. How's that?
That's only if you
All right,
follow it.
who can kick Barnabas from the call?
I think we all can, actually.
Oh, yeah, we're all admins in this channel. All right, keep going, Barnabas.
So we
You're
make
doing
it to the tunnel entrance. We saw the tracks of the behemoth. So it appears to have some path that it goes back and forth to.
Mhm.
Cave entrance is huge, 20 feet by 20 feet, cool and dark as one would hope. We walk gradually down for an hour and then hit a fork in the tunnel, at which point Joan bails on us like a complete coward and says she's just going to harvest a little bit of metal and then abandon us.
Wow.
Well, she got all the metal she needed, right?
Yeah, we piled her
Yeah,
little
she
wagon. and-
filled the wagon. Yeah.
And she was more than willing to just head back on her own as a perfectly capable, strong woman. And there was this member of our party who was pretty darn concerned about her well-being and did not want her to leave.
We
Yeah, he
told her
did-
to leave to go at night.
He didn't want to Iran-splain to her, but yes, he was very concerned about her well-being.
Who's playing?
It's amazing.
And we
That was
also
pretty
left off my turkey of nat 20s, which
Oh,
will,
yeah.
not happen,
Alright.
will not happen again tonight. I guarantee, because I rolled so well last session.
Oh,
It's one city tonight.
we did pretty poorly in that combat.
Oh, but you guys did
Yeah.
it great.
Yeah, I was untouched.
We are those wisdom saves or whatever, or
Oh, the
charisma,
charisma,
saves. Ugh.
Mhm.
You did have to beat like a 15 or something. So
that's pretty high.
unless you're a warlock or a paladin, not great.
It's true. Or bard.
Or bard, yeah, that's right.
We
So then-
we headed back. Go ahead. You go ahead.
I was going to say, Council left a trap to see if anything passes while we were gone. We actually ended up journeying several hours into the mine. There were several different forks. And so with the map tells the tale there, which was shared earlier. Mhm. And then we finally stumble upon a mine cart on rails. And we found out that Chasm Dwarn don't use mine carts, Peak Dwarn do. And then what must have been some retrospective notes. Awesome battle, and we win.
The mine cart had unimbued
chunk.
alchemite,
Of raw alchemite, yeah.
huge one. And then there seemed to be like there had been evidence that there was in the walls as well, the same type
Yeah.
of alchemite. Like they had been there mining it, likely was the assumption. And we didn't check down any of the forks until the last one, which we peeked down, and that is, I believe, what spurned the beetle, or just that time is when the beetle attacked. Which also a Dwarn with a like automaton or like a mechanical man. I wrote automaton in my notes, but
That's the word I said.
Okay.
Slash?
We'll talk about it.
Sledge.
yeah.
Sledge, yeah.
Sledge.
Oh, I didn't catch his name. Sledge was his name.
Wander is the only one who heard it.
Yeah.
But yes.
Oh, okay, that's okay. I didn't.
Well, Lucas said it, not Tizzle.
And Felix's temporary name is Bjorn because he's,
Oh yeah. That's right.
he's being
I forgot
sneaky. Just
all
to
about
remind
that.
everyone.
Oh man.
We're like,
My-
hey Felix, look at this thing. The guy's like,
Oh, I
Felix,
totally would have.
gun. Campaign's over.
He looks quickly just murders this guy.
And I think as soon as we killed everything, that was pretty much where we
wrapped the session
ended
at
the
that.
session. We killed that beetle.
I also wrote down the beetle had slit goat-like eyes. It's creepy.
Yes.
The
I
like
don't remember that.
rectangle pupil.
Rectangle pupils. That's so weird.
Oh,
Yeah.
weird.
So it basically like. Hold on. I'll show you a picture of one.
Yeah, goat eyes always make me uneasy.
An Umber Hulk.
An Umber Hulk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it has large pincers, gross-looking eyes, like chitinous armor, claws. And I realized they said chitin and not chitin. That's fine. The only difference between what is in the book and what is in this world is that it's more like rhino beetle-esque in that it's got like a big like horn on the front of its face as well.
It's the like chunks of alchemite in it.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
Didn't they turn
They turn
white?
different colors. So lightning
Depending-
made it turn blue. Cold attacks made it turn white.
Right.
Yeah.
right.
The raw alchemite on it. So
Almost like it was absorbing.
there's something there.
So if Jack is collecting lots of alchemite, let's just start attacking him with
Turns out-
magic. and see what happens.
I don't need to. Maybe I don't need to like trip over myself trying to get traders to give me blue alchemite. I can just make it.
I know.
So
Make
he's gonna find out like right now.
All right. Name of this session is The Law.
The law. Okay. Bye, Felix.
I leave the cave.
You can't. There are Dwarf on top of you.
The cave is Dwarn. They've been doing
Everything.
ant tunnels the whole time.
It's really loud. Tell me if that's really loud for you guys or not.
I don't hear it yet.
I have my stream volume at like 30%, and it sounds okay.
Okay, cool. Yeah, you'll hear it's background, it's ambient noise. There's no music or anything. So.
Yeah.
I noticed too, I did the very habitual thing of leaning forward, even though I have a headset in.
Yep, right.
I do that so much. Yeah.
I don't hear anything.
No.
All right, so we killed the thing, and
Thing? This large beast collapses in the midst of this cave. If you remember, Tizal did Johnny sweep the leg on it. It fell backwards and basically cracked open the back of its head on some pointy rocks. And so with a resounding thud, the beast has stopped moving, and you are now in the midst of this cavern. Wander, you standing next to this Dorn that you can see. Very pale skin. In the light that you can see it in, because it's dark in here, it has dark hair. Eyes are almost like a blackened color with like fiery red pupils. It's wearing very plain clothing. He while all of this is going on, you can see he's like poking his head out from behind the rock, watching what's happening. And as soon as this beast goes down, he lets out a heavy sigh. And he looks over now at you, Wander. And because of his shorter stature, kind of has to crane his neck upwards to look at all of you. Says, "You guys will do in a pinch." What?
Council see the automaton heal Revan? Because we saw Revan go down,
Mhm.
and something ran over and stood him back up again.
You probably wouldn't have seen him like heal Revan. Like there wouldn't have been anything to witness. In the same way that like you don't see anything visibly when somebody gets struck with a defibrillator.
Right. Okay.
It's just like, all right, he's back now. Revan's
All right.
awake.
Okay.
He looks Oh, you're muted again, Barnabas.
I don't know why I'm doing that. Sorry. Yeah, Wonder clears his throat. He starts out saying, "Well, I for one," and clears his throat. Well, I for one am very grateful to have encountered a Dwarn down here in the tunnels. Although, I suppose that wouldn't necessarily be surprising. Is that correct?
Why are you talking so loud? Do you want
Yeah.
another one of them to come out?
I assume Felix hears that, and he's like way down in that
Yeah.
cavern. So he's gonna like stealthily approach along the wall and try to listen in on this conversation.
Okay.
Uh,
What? Maybe a
apologies.
stealth check while you're doing it.
Council approaches as well.
Would I have ever seen an automaton before or know what they are?
No.
Okay.
That's all.
And I want to walk over as well.
Which, to be clear, the metal man is still standing in the middle of the room next to Revan and the downed
Oh,
creature.
then I'm not walking over there.
And it is just kind of standing there, like looking at the body of this thing before it, while Wander and this Dwarn are having the conversation.
Does it look metal?
Does it
Or you
look
just-
metal?
Yeah, does it look metallic? Like you said, it's a metal automaton. Like would Tizal know what the material it's made of is?
You probably wouldn't know what material it's made of, but you can definitely tell that it's a dull, shiny material.
I got a
It's like
16 on my
Stainless
stealth.
steel.
Does
Or
it
like
look-
brushed steel. Brushed, is that's what it's called? Like think like
Yeah.
a kitchen sink.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it just since we haven't seen an automaton before? Does it just look like a person in armor? Like that's was that what council would assume, or was it too
If you,
skinny?
if you're looking at it, it would be a very skinny person in armor.
Okay.
Automaton is being a bit generous with it. It looks just like almost a suit of armor that has come to
Okay.
life.
Okay.
Think of like Edward from Full Metal Alchemist.
Oh, okay.
If you're
Okay.
familiar with that, but smaller,
Right.
smaller armor, not massive armor.
Okay. Council's just gonna assume it's a dude in armor and walk up to Wander.
Same.
Apologies. I'm normally a very loud talker, but it does make sense that we should lower our voices here. Thank you very much for you and your friends assisting.
No, we didn't do much for anything. What are y'all doing down here?
We are exploring these caves with a destination in mind.
And what's that? And as he's talking to you, he comes out from behind the rock and like kind of starts making his way over towards the sledge.
We're my compatriots are ever so much better at this type of explaining than I am.
Yes, I am very good at explaining.
Yes, tis all. He'll tell you what's going on.
Why do you
Fill me in.
ask? First, I would like to know why you would like to know why we are here.
Because this is a very unusual sight in these parts. Do y'all know where you are? Are you lost?
No. We are past the passages, and we are now here.
I don't think anyone can really know where they are when they can't see the sun. I think by definition we're all lost.
Like
We
he
are-
has been paying attention to Tizal, and when you say that, he kind of just turns around, like gives you an eye, like a stink eye, and then turns back to Tizal.
We are.
We are not aware of any history of this place or any context it may have to your culture and your people.
Are you
If
still being
that's-
stealthy, Felix, by the way?
Yeah.
Did you roll that stealth check?
Is 16?
Okay, cool.
Do I recognize the voice at all?
Um, probably not. I mean, you could make me a charisma check? I don't know.
It's gonna
Mostly
suck
just
if you
asking, like,
recognize the voice.
Would my
Roll me a
character have...
D100. Let's
Oh
do
my
that.
gosh.
Yeah. Roll me a D100. We'll see if you have met this other dwarf.
Sure, let Jack get to roll the D100.
Let Adam perk up.
Well, I just
So-
have the 2.
That's the traditional way to do it.
That's a cool way to
52.
do it.
52?
Yep.
Doesn't sound familiar. I think you were saying something, Constance.
No, that's fine.
Well, y'all are down here near the Dorn Kingdom. And they don't take kindly to your type. Any y'all type, really.
You speak
So-
as if you are not one of them.
Well, I used to be. Not so much anymore.
An exile, perhaps?
Of a sort. Yeah. And he just
Fe-
walks over to Sledge.
Felix
Just-
walks around the corner, not stealthy anymore.
Okay.
Before they come up to us, can I ask a question to Sledge or to?
Oh, sure. Yeah. While this conversation is happening, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, the timing of your arrival could not have been much better. Thank you for your assistance.
You see this. I mean, like a helm as part of a full like plate suit. Kind of looks down at you because it's quite a bit taller than you, and you can just see these brightly glowing like green balls of light in its head. And it looks down and just goes.
Wonder
Um,
immediately looks at the scene and is like,
And just stares.
Not sure what to do and a little taken aback. I still kind of reach out a hand, like just in a general handshake. Since this guy just saved my life.
Like
Like
puts
just
up its own
reaching.
hand, looks at it, and grabs your hand.
The outside of his hand?
But then just like leaves it there. Doesn't shake it or anything. Just like
Okay.
sticks its
Yeah.
hand next to your hand.
Noticing that it's awkward, I try and give it a little movement and then slowly put it away and say, not one for many words, are ya? Your tongue is not one I'm familiar with, but perhaps you are understanding me.
And Felix walks around the corner, like, we're looking for some lost adventure sent by Orn.
Yeah, he turns around at the familiar twang of a southern drawl. Says, "You're with these folks,
Yes.
and you didn't tell
What?
them nothing about our customs, rules, laws."
Oh, I've gone a little fuzzy on the details. I've been removed for quite a while. Much like
Look
it
like-
sounds like you have.
Eh, you could say that. What's that? What's that armor you got on? You know the breakers?
Yeah.
You
What makes you
know 'em?
ask about that?
Uh,
It's been a
just
while.
I know they strut around something like that.
Oh, do they now?
Yeah.
This is of my own making. And what is this over here? He gestures to the automaton.
Says this is Sledge. And at the mention of its name, the head on it just like swivels around. The body's still facing Revan, but that the head of the suit like turns around to face him, and then the rest of the body like shifts to match the head, and it walks away and over towards him. And you, like every step that it makes, it's like full plate mail. It's like
It just
going
makes me.
around this cave.
It makes. Has anyone seen bed knobs and broomsticks?
Yeah.
The ending when they
Not
animate the armor, it kind of makes me think of that when it's like walking around.
There we go.
Tizal would lean in the wander and ask him, "Do you know a live sword?" The automaton.
Felix is gonna inspect the thing.
Okay, go
Kind
ahead.
of give it a walk around it and check it.
Anything in particular you're looking for?
Trying to figure out like what's powering it, and yeah.
The Dwarf says it basically useless to even try to talk to him when he's in this shape. His voice box is busted. We'll be repairing it before long, but
Repairing? Are you saying this is not a person?
well, that depends on what you define as a person, doesn't it?
Allow me to clarify my vague question. Are you saying that this is not a creature of flesh and blood?
Oh,
That's
he like walks up to Sledge and like puts his hand like in between the gaps in the armor and like pokes it out the other side. Like, there's nothing in there.
fascinating.
What powers this?
This here gemstone, and he basically like grabs onto the two sides of the chest plate, and all the while Sledge is just standing there perfectly still, and he kind of pries open the chest plate, and in the middle there is a piece of green alchemite that you can see.
Worse.
I
So,
see.
I don't know if y'all are headed anywhere quick, or if you got time for a story, you could share a little bit.
Who's we?
Before we continue,
When
is
you
this the
say-
safest place for a conversation?
He kind of looks around a little bit. You're probably right. It's not.
You said that we are going to repair the voice box.
Yeah, me and Sledge, we'll work together on it.
Got it.
Be smart.
Sledge, is that the name of him?
Lying?
What?
Is he lying?
Roll me an insight check.
Yeah. Side is 15.
Team? Seems like
15,
it's
yeah.
telling the truth.
Okay.
Says, here, come down this way a little ways. We can talk down here, maybe where it's a little safer. And he leads you past the the mine cart, basically down the tracks.
Okay.
Before we go, Felix is going to take his knife out and try to pry the pieces of alchemite out of the Umber Hulk,
Okay,
like
sure.
the ones that are now glowing.
Yeah. Make me a survival check or a sleight of hand check.
I'll do sleight of hand.
Okay.
Because I'm better at that.
Especially with the Zero Suit Samus suit.
Well, that doesn't affect. That's only stealth checks.
Oh, not
Yeah.
all dex checks. Okay.
Nope. That's a 19.
19. So you like pop out your knife or something like that, start trying to carve into this creature. And the angle that you're trying to dig into it, you almost start to feel your knife bend before you get any movement from the actual alchemite itself. It seems pretty solidly wedged in there.
Hmm. Is there like I feel like would also like to maybe like peel some of this thing's like carapace off. Like just
Oh.
maybe like a I don't know. You can like about the size of a shield or something.
Sure.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
All right.
Sure. If you just want to like break off a piece of its, like a large chunk of its,
Yeah.
carapace, sure. You could probably like basically go up to like its forearm and get the like entire backside of that like pried off. It'd take you a while. Like people would have to wait for you, but you can do
Mind
it.
if I do this? This is
If it's for your project,
some nice material here.
yeah, I'll stand guard.
I assist.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, there's not much like finesse to it. We're just trying to separate the segment from the rest of the
Yeah, if you want to just kind of,
ooze.
if you want to brute force it off, you can just make me a strength check. And since you're assisting you with advantage. While they're doing that, Dorn turns to the rest of you. He says, "Now, back to my original question. What brought y'all down here?"
We are searching for 2 missing adventurers from Oren.
Only 2?
Perhaps it was more. Maybe 4? I do not recall the exact
Yep.
amount.
15 on my strength check.
15 on strength. With a 15, you're not quite able to pry it off. You get there, and even with you and Tizal like working in opposite directions trying to break it off, it's not budging. This particular creature that you stumbled on was a fairly hardy version of it. It's a hardy breed.
As we begin to share what we're doing in these parts, it'd be nice to know who you are. I'm Revan, Captain Revan. And who might you be?
He looks at you and says, "Captain of what?"
Well, a ship. I realize we're not at sea here. This is not normally where I make my home, but I do have a ship indeed.
Okay. You can call me Jurgen.
Jurgen.
At that, Revan reaches out to shake his hand.
He extends his hand. You can see he's got like work gloves on, and they're just filthy, just like covered in dirt. He shakes your hand.
Are Felix and I still working on getting the alchemite out of the Umber Hulk while this conversation's happening, or is this afterwards?
It's probably happening while you guys are trying to get the stuff out.
Can we
Well,
hear it?
Yeah.
While Felix is working and says his name, he was gonna ask, "Are you with the Breakers?"
Nope.
Is he
No.
lying?
Make me an insight check while you're trying to pry off the arm of this
That's
creature.
not very good.
So he's a peak dwarf or a chasm dwarf?
Chasm,
He's
right?
a chasm dwarf.
Okay.
You got 8.
8? Hard to tell.
I specifically asked because if Tizal wanted to read Felix's reaction to hearing that name, knowing that he's hiding from people, so would he have reacted in any way to that?
You're wondering if
Felix would have reacted in any way to hearing the name Jurgen.
to hearing Jurgen,
Yeah, hearing his name.
you probably wouldn't have registered anything on Felix's face. I mean, you could roll an insight check, I guess.
Sure, I'll do that. 16.
Felix, do you know a Jurgen?
No.
No. Doesn't register anything.
So Jurgen,
all right.
you. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go for it. No, go for it.
Who are the breakers that you speak of? It's likely clear I'm not from around these parts, and I've not heard of this group before.
Right? That much is clear. Breakers are outlaws. If your friend here, and he motions over to Felix prying on the arm of this creature, says if he's hasn't informed you of anything around Dorn customs, allow me to educate you. The Dorn
Certainly.
are a unified people for the most part. We follow one common law. That law is a series of edicts laid out by the kings that have come since the beginning of Dwarn time. The Breakers are a sect that have left the Dwarn and have started their own ventures, if you will. Dwarn leave the Dwarn capital for really any number of reasons. Usually, though, it's because they're exiled. It's because they broke a law.
A single law.
Or multiple.
What level of leniency do your people usually have for such a thing?
None.
So
There's
what?
leniency, there's weakness.
So everyone who breaks the law is exiled?
That's right.
Seems a harsh way of living to treat those who you'd call your kin.
To break the law.
Is breaking the law the only way to be exiled?
Seeing as how self-exiling is against the law, yeah.
Felix chuckles.
Self-exiled.
Felix stands up. He says, "Life energy cannot be manipulated to create or recreate life. This what they got you for?"
No. Originally, they got me for self-exile.
Can't blame you.
You were exiled for self-exile.
That's right.
You said
This feels a bit like. Oh, go ahead.
said originally Did you go back? Were you allowed back?
Just where Made Sledge are coming from. We left some time ago. We been out here for a while and went back to speak to the king, try and petition our cause, and he had none of it. And since they learned about Sledge, I got another law breaking tacked onto me, which is, as your friend here mentioned, life energy cannot be manipulated to create or recreate life. Sledge here, according to the king and most of Dwarven society, is an abomination. Never should have existed.
A
Did you
very
create-
subjective view on things.
Well, as you know, the law is what we can determine using our senses. What we can recreate in a laboratory. What we can have others to do. Sledge here is an anomaly. I couldn't tell anyone how to make another thing like Sledge.
You made him by accident?
We could talk about that later. Are you guys done prying on the arm?
Yeah.
Say, follow me. And he begins leading, or at least trying to lead you down basically back the way that the tracks came from, or the way that the rails came from. Do you guys follow?
I follow. And at the same time say to him, Jurgen, you had mentioned a story.
Let's find a place to camp before I get into that. It's getting late.
Aye.
Tizal, while following, would like every 20 or so feet, maybe every 30, leave scratches along the cave wall just to kind of mark a way back to the point in which they kind of entered this passage.
Okay.
So he could, like, his own version of breadcrumbs, basically, to get back.
Yeah, gotcha.
So you're telling me we're gonna camp without any access to the sun or the sky?
Is there a problem with that?
It's a bit unsettling for my type. And also, how do you know it's late? There's no way to tell what time it is down here.
At that, he points to his wrist, and on it you can see that he has a little device, which is basically made up of like 3 different sized gears that all seem to be turning at different variables of speed. It says, this right here. Yet another reason why I was exiled.
It's illegal to tell time?
Nope. But it's illegal for me to be messing with things that I shouldn't. Edict number 23 states that elements are to be manipulated by only certain Dwarven. I'm not one of those certain Dwarven. It was outside of my right to make what I did.
With so many laws, it seems a challenge to live a life and never break one.
You know, it's pretty easy actually. Most of the laws are about naming, about what deities you can or cannot give reverence to, what elements can or cannot be manipulated. It's pretty easy. If you
Revan gives a little
are-
bit of a laugh.
if you're a good Dwarn, it's not hard to live a full, long life, never break a single law.
Is this long list of laws that you need to follow written down in books?
Certainly no. Books are road. It's written down on stone, metal. Much more permanent. Most
they-
most Dwarn actually carries something of the law around with them. I've got my own. He pulls out this kind of like stone tablet, or not the stone tablet, like a thin like metal tablet, which you can see has some like Dwarnish carvings into it. It's pretty full.
Wander looks at it with some appreciation and very matter of factly says, "How often do they explode?"
Walking and just looks at you. How often do they what now? They
How-
never. I ain't never heard a single time that one of these exploded.
That's good news. I like to hear that. Wander gives a very knowing look to Council and goes,
Consul's just. You could feel an aura of face palm, but he's not doing it. It's palpable.
You mentioned you petitioned your cause to the king.
That's
What
right.
is your cause?
Cause was for Sledge and I to be admitted into Dorn society. They're willing to take me back, but they refuse to acknowledge Sledge.
Did you think that they would take him in, knowing it's against the law?
Well, there's two ways to uh, create law or to establish law. First, that which you can see, touch, taste, smell, know, and that which is described by one of the kings. Things like naming conventions. That's something that's described by a king. Other things like gravity. That's something you can taste, touch, smell, experience, know. Both are laws.
Are you saying those described by the kings can be challenged?
No,
The law is not immutable.
the law is the law, but new discoveries are made every day. If you never leave the underground, you would never know what color the sky is. How could you have a law about the sky until you've seen it? When I brought Sledge in, that was an opportunity for the king to say that this existence here is considered Dorn or could be admitted into our society. And it was denied.
Where will you go now?
It's a good question. We plan on heading west. But first, we got to go get our things.
Did you consider Orn?
Never been there. Never even actually heard of it. Is that some place somewhere?
It's a city to the east. Once ancient ruins now has been inhabited by all sorts of people who find themselves in, you could say, a similar situation as us. Outcasts.
Having been to a variety of different places as one who doesn't necessarily fit in, I will say that it's better than most for those who have difficulty fitting in other places.
Doesn't sound like it'd be too bad. Except for Sledge says we need to go west.
What is west?
More like Sledge.
There are others.
I don't know how much of this I should be telling you.
More.
I might be able to help you.
Why do you say that?
While the Dwarf may have not allowed you to manipulate the element, they at least allowed me to for some time. Till I did it too much.
I'm listening.
I don't see this sledge too unsimilar from this suit of armor I'm wearing. One has a will and this does not. That's one difference. But it's still, this armor is connected to me. It reads my input and it moves on its own, just how Sledge does. Using alchemite.
There is a fundamental difference I've noticed, however. You know where the power of your armor comes from, Felix. And we know that green alchemite is the power of life. And the only time we have seen anything closely related to green alchemite forming is when those fire elementals were absorbing the life force of those villages. That concerns me.
What'd you say about fire elementals?
I have encountered fire elementals of sorts multiple times. In my most recent engagement with this group here, they seem to be killing and drawing in the weak around them. As they were doing so, their flames were turning from red, and the alchemite within them, to green.
Saying the life energy is stored in the alchemite.
Which would make sense why your green enchanted armor here is sentient, and why your blue enchanted armor is not. One is power, and the other is life.
Remember that for our conversation later.
And we're walking down the tunnel as we're saying this.
Yeah. As you're having this conversation, you basically have taken a hard right. Now you're headed straight back east. So whereas the tunnel kind of like J hooked up first, now you are headed back this way.
Council is doing his best to write near any light source to take notes on everything that's being said about the dwarves, so he can have something to take back. You know.
Sure. So you'll notice every once in a while there will be like small flecks of light that will kind of like peer through cracks in the rock, where there is some color of alchemite that is peering out.
Wander is keeping an eye on Council as he takes notes from a respectful distance.
Okay.
As we're walking, I want to match pace with Wander for a second.
Okay.
And say to him, Wander, Have you ever been away from the sunlight underground like this before?
Under response, no. I mean, no, no, no. I'm not.
Is food going to
do
be a
you-
problem?
Do
I maybe that's why I feel so terrible.
have you heard stories of your kind being out of the sun for too long? Do you know, will it do any damage to you or weaken you?
Yeah, they die, but that's usually, I mean, well, plants in general die when they're not in the sun, but it takes quite a long time. As far as others exactly like me, they're usually just wandering around in the forest. So if they're in a place where they can't get to the sun, they move to a place where they can get to the sun. It's generally not an issue.
Well, if you start to turn for the worse, you make sure to let us know, and we'll get you out of here and back to the sun.
Yeah, right. You will. Yeah, yeah. I'll do that. Wander is
Wander-
angry.
I was about to say, is Wander angry?
Wander's angry.
Jurgen, overhearing some of this conversation, says, "Don't worry, we'll get you out of here before too long.
It's greatly appreciated.
Your kind doesn't belong down here, clearly, and I don't
Clearly.
mean that in a patronizing sort of way."
Agreed.
Now, didn't the Magister want us to talk about trading with the Dwarf?
That is one of the criteria of our quest, yes. Discover the fate of the lost, recover their amulets, and then potentially set up trade with the Dwarf.
You said amulets, and you're looking for 2. You're looking for more.
Council flips back in his notes.
Yeah.
Can I tell if
Check my
he's suggesting that he knows something about these?
Make me an insight check.
I believe it's more than 2.
15.
15. You get the impression that he may know something about this.
Do you know about these necklaces?
Yeah, I do. Where I've got my stuff stashed is actually where you can find those necklaces.
Are the owners of those necklaces still around?
In a manner of speaking,
They're dead.
very much so.
Well, fair enough. We figured as much.
So my notes just say recover the bodies of the previous folks. It doesn't say
Same.
how many.
Mine doesn't say how many either.
Yeah, no favor.
Tizzle's about to ask though. How many
Sounds like there was two.
amulets did you find?
There's 4 in total.
And do you have them?
I mean, I don't know if I'd recommend removing them forcefully.
They're attached to the remains of whatever these folks were that came in.
Well, that checks off one of our criteria.
So let me get this straight. Y'all just needed to find some adventurers like yourselves, and you just kind of walk down here into the mountain, not knowing where you're going, and hope that you'd stumble across them.
Yes. Is that problematic?
More
You
or
seem
less.
to understand us quite well.
We we do understand. Well, I do understand how the cave systems of the Dwarf work. the paved roads is the ones to follow if you want to get to Dwarf.
That's true. I don't think you want to get to Dorne, though.
No?
I don't.
Probably not.
They wouldn't be too welcoming to us.
They might to you.
Mm. Hard to say. Probably not, but maybe.
Could
Judging
you-
as how you don't even know that Owen existed, they could at least know who their neighbors are.
Sure. Yeah.
The first step to perhaps trading.
you tell us how to arrive to the Dorn community if we decide to leave our companion and visit ourselves.
What?
Could you tell us how to get to the Dwarn?
Oh, absolutely. If you just continue down that path you were on, you'd have been there in maybe another 2 hours or so.
What makes you suggest against visiting them?
Well, the Dorn aren't particularly fond of outsiders. Because outsiders tend to break laws.
It's difficult to follow laws when you are not aware of them.
True.
May I ask, is being an outsider against the law? Should we know this now?
No, that is not against the law.
Is there a way you can tell us all the laws so we can avoid breaking any of them?
Oh, absolutely. And he then goes on for the next, 30 minutes or so and basically reads off of his little tablet that he's
no.
got all of the laws, which I can send out to you guys afterwards.
Yeah, council writes it down.
Thou shalt not self-exile.
Yeah, Wander pays close attention to him reading off of the tablet and is attempting to make some type of rough correlation between the symbols on the tablet and the sounds coming out.
While he's doing that, make a perception check. Wander.
Help him. I was kidding. I don't speak Dwarf.
What?
23.
3?
Wow.
You notice as he's reading down these, basically, like he's reading along like bullet points. And every once in a while, he'll get to a bullet point that will be like scratched out, essentially. And he'll skip over it and he'll go on to the next one. And then he'll reach like another, 1 or 2 that are scratched out in a row. And he'll go on to the next one. And he does that basically the entire way down.
I Wander asks about it just completely naively and straightforward. And he's like, so I'm noticing that you run your finger over some of them, but then there are others that have the sideways line through them, and you skip those. Is that a notation?
Dwarn law can supersede Dwarn law. So if a king of old laid down a law and then a new king says something else that contradicts that former law is no longer void. Or it's no longer valid.
Interesting. My people have no laws, nothing even close to this.
Surely you have something you believe in, something you strive for?
We believe in staying alive, and that's primarily what we strive for, is to continue to exist, find food.
Fair enough.
It's not quite complicated enough to need to write down.
Yeah, I could see why you don't write too many books or tablets.
Not yet.
Is it common for laws to override laws?
It's happened a number of times throughout Dwarven history. I wouldn't call it common. Of 36 kings, we've had 10. 10 that have needed to be scratched out.
Do the Eln have laws? Since their culture is so symbiotic?
So much laws as just like mutual understandings.
Right.
Since
I mean,
since the Eln are much more like hive mind, in that they're all just working together for the common good all of the time.
right.
There's not really a need for laws.
Yeah, the concept of like breaking an entry or like mugging, it just doesn't really.
Right. Like
Yeah.
those things just don't exist.
Right. Okay.
And the Iran, they're lawless.
Oh, Iran, yeah. They don't even wear pants.
Woo!
That one's
Going to
actually
a-
law. That one's law. You don't wear
It's-
pants.
it's the
That's
only one.
Thou shalt not wear pants.
Thou shalt shake thy tail feather.
The law is a little interesting to read chronologically. It tells a bit of a story of its own.
True.
I find it also contradicts itself.
Anything in particular? I'm not arguing with you. Just curious.
Felix knows this one, but Jack does not.
That was actually Spencer asking, like, what bro?
All
What about my laws?
Dwarn shall work for the betterment of Dwarn society.
Mm-hmm.
Would you not say having access to all the elements would help society? Or even your
Yes.
sledge here help society?
Maybe. The problem being, we don't know what the other elements do. We as Dwarn are in tune with the earth. See, we know what it does. We know what it's capable of. We know the good, we know the bad, we know the ugly, the in-between, the inside, the outside. Can't say the same thing for water, for air, anything.
But there was a time when Dwarn could study those elements.
Certainly.
I feel they are too afraid of the unknown.
That's very possible. Yeah.
It is the most ancient fear of all, common in most living creatures.
What's that?
Fear of the unknown.
True.
But the only way to defeat the unknown is to walk into it.
To understand it, at least.
That's true. About that time, you guys come to, while the tracks had just been kind of like winding their way through this cave system, like up and down and around corners. You've now come to like something of a little cavern, much smaller than the one that you were in previously. But there is at least like a pocket into the wall here where you're not like, in like a 5-foot wide tunnel that you're walking down. There's a sizable place, basically enough room to like everybody could lay down off to the side, and that's about it.
Okay.
Says, "This is the place I was thinking of. We could settle up here for the night."
As he says that, I want to take my foot in the sand and draw the Dorn symbol, the like delta that we kept seeing.
Mhm.
Draw it within there, not massive, but just with my foot, kind of a good couple feet by a couple feet.
Okay.
Does this symbol mean anything to you? If we were to find it on craftsman items.
Yeah. Well, it's the letter D.
The town Orin that was mentioned to you that you said you didn't know of, there were bells and towers, and they were all adorned with this symbol. Does that mean anything to you?
They were also Dwarn made.
Aye.
Reckon probably means that your town is made by Dwarn some time ago. Craftsmen leaving their mark or leaving their initials.
Do you think
No.
it is exiled Dwarn that could have built a neighboring town?
It is ancient.
Yeah, if you're thinking of the peak Dwarn, they tend to not stick to cities as much. Once you leave the kingdom, you tend to be more of a free roamer.
So just for my understanding, is the Dorn, I guess the Dorn community, the city, the Dorn community we're talking about, is that all Chasm Dorn?
Yes.
Or is it a mixture? Okay, it is.
It is
Okay, so Peak
just
Dorn, are another community outside of the Chasm Dorn, but they
Yeah.
are not inherently exiled Dorn. Or is that kind of what that
And
means?
they're like physically different too.
Yeah. Yeah. So at some point in their past, the Chasm Dwarn and the Peak Dwarn, some group left the Chasm Dwarn and evolved slightly differently than the Chasm Dwarn did.
Like Homo sapiens, Neanderthals.
Yeah.
Crocodiles, alligators.
That being said, there are Dwarn that leave the Chasm Dwarn or have left the Chasm Dwarn and have like essentially they're not peak Dwarn, like they're not biologically different than Chasm Dwarn, but they have adopted that lifestyle of like living outside the mountains.
Revan sits down.
Yeah, I start setting up camp.
He takes a little like bundle off of his back and kind of rolls out a map or like almost like a very basic like sleeping bag type of thing. And kind of puts it over against the wall. And he sits. He says, "Hey, Sledge, how about you do patrol tonight so our new friends here can get a good night's rest?" He kind of looks over at Wander, says, "Especially listen." And
That would
Sledge
be
just
much appreciated.
silently agrees and begins like kind of like pacing up and down the tracks, like basically far enough like out of sight and sound down one way, and then it comes back and then goes down the other way and then comes back and like goes down the other way.
Are there any like leftover tools or objects in this area, or is it just a big flat space?
Wait, are the bodies of the adventurers around here?
Same thing.
No.
Oh, okay.
No. Yes. No, you're not at the
Not there yet.
location. Yeah. Yeah. He's just suggesting this is a good spot to spend the night. And then in the morning you can continue on to where the bodies are.
Sure.
And their goods.
As
I'm,
always. Oh, go ahead.
I mean this in no offense, but I think our group will also take watch. We did just meet.
Fair. Just to let you know, Sledge doesn't need to sleep. He's very perceptive, so
I'm not worried about Sledge's perceptiveness.
Alright.
Can never be too careful with trusting new people.
you're
I'll
the
take
one.
first watch.
All right. Sounds good.
I will take second. No offense, laws mean nothing to me. But if they are important and you've broken two, I don't know that I'm gonna just fall sleep right next to you.
Weren't you in prison?
Like I said, laws mean nothing to me.
I'll take third watch. Anyway, that's my question. Are there any objects in this area?
No, you can see that there is debris that's been left behind. Like this is not clean and smooth like the main cavern that you were, or the cave system that you were coming off of, the main tunnel that you were coming off of. This is more natural looking. So the walls are rough. The floor is littered with debris, stones, pebbles, even some smaller boulders. The ceiling has a number of like stalactites coming off of it.
Mm. Are there any stalactites with water dripping from them? Like fairly constantly?
Make me a perception check.
18 plus 5, 23.
23. Yeah, actually, you didn't really pay attention to it as you were walking, but back down the path that you came on, you could hear that there's a somewhat steady drip.
How far?
You could still hear it from where you are, so it couldn't be more than like a couple 100 feet.
Oh. Wonder, I was contemplating if you needed to sleep under a steady stream of water, but it seems to be farther away. Then would be safe.
That would be beneficial, but I think the lack of sunlight is the more acute issue for the moment.
Understand.
I'll be fine. I mean, I can make it a day or two. I'm not thrilled about the idea, but no permanent damage will be done. At least I think.
I doubt we will be sunless for more than another 24 hours.
I have noticed I'm getting a little bit short-tempered. So if I'm overly reactive with you or anyone else, perhaps you could call that to my attention.
Try not to turn into anything predatory.
Yeah, no, none of you all would taste good.
Council tilts his head, kind of thinking what he would taste like, and then goes back to making camp.
Tizal knows he tastes good, so he takes that as a compliment.
Council tastes like pain and regret.
And chicken.
It's mostly what Adam eats, right?
Regret?
Pain, mostly.
Oh, pain. Right.
Red pepper flakes.
Yep. Now, Jurgen,
Go ahead.
you said the Breakers had armor similar to this.
That's right.
You ever gotten a look at it? What? I didn't hear you.
How do you mean?
Oh, what's it made out of? What is it powered?
Oh, it's powered, all right. As far as what it's made out of, couldn't tell you. Similar to yours, some kind of bone or something.
You leave an impression, Felix.
You know
Or
how
Ah.
many suits they have? You said it was more than one.
that's true. Last time I saw them, I could only see 3. They're trying to make more.
Do you know who's making
Sure.
them?
Do it in what now?
Do you know who's making them
As
within the
far as
thing?
like names go, no idea.
Because you also are you also a bit of a inventor? You could call it. Kind of gesture at Sledge.
He looks at Sledge, kind of like walking down the cavern now back towards the west, and he waits for him to be out of earshot. Essentially, says, "I didn't make Sledge. I didn't even call him Sledge.
Did Sledge find you?
We found each other in a way.
Do you know who made Sledge?
Now that's a complicated question.
You said it was an accident.
That's right, I did, and I'll stick by that.
Also,
If
go ahead.
say if you want to say uh, who made Sledge is the one who gave him life, then yeah, I guess I made Sledge. I can't tell you how it was done though.
Is that a part of the tale that you promised to tell us?
That it is. I nearly forgot. Before anybody takes watch, before we hunker down for the night, let me tell you. You see, and
Wonderful.
he takes off the thing on his wrist, and he holds it up. He says, "This here. This is the real reason I was first almost exiled. I had found a way, like I said, using the elements to tell time and not rely on the master timepiece in the Dwarf Kingdom. Didn't seem like a big deal. But again, it was against the law. When it was found out, I was brought before the king and I was given an ultimatum. The only reason I was given an ultimatum is because he's my cousin. And had I not given him the original, I could have taken exile. But instead, I gave up my timepiece and went back to my research within the Dorn Kingdom. But that was the start.
Was it a forbidden element, or you said you were not permitted to manipulate them?
It wasn't what I was supposed to be doing. I'm a researcher. I'm not an inventor. Closer to an archivist than to a scientist. Studying over the ancient texts from our forebears, trying to figure out what went wrong, what happened. One day I just had a weird thought to myself of, hey, I wonder if I could find a way to tell what time it is without having to go out and look. So I did. Went back to that life, and those thoughts just kept creeping up. That ain't right. I didn't like that they had taken it from me. Didn't like that I had to give it up. Pretty soon I found myself thinking, what if? What if I was king? What if Lodvar was gone? And I didn't like that. I didn't like that one bit. So I chose self-exile. And after that, that's when the real exile started. Because now I'd tampered with things I shouldn't have. And I was exiled. And now Sledge comes back and stomps past. And Jurgen gets quiet and just kind of leans his head back against the wall and just waits for Sledge to march off the other direction. He says, you see, when I was exiled, I'm a researcher. There's no way I'd survive out here outside of the luxuries of the kingdom on my own. Barely know how to swing a pickaxe. But I had a friend who did. Name is Michael. Michael chose to exile himself with me just because he knew I'd be dead on my own. Michael knew more things, at least more things about out here. He was sturdier, knew how to swing a pickaxe, knew how to manipulate the earth, knew how to find food. About 6 months ago, we was digging through some soft limestone, and we encountered an underground spring on accident. I'd been swinging the pick, just kind of aimlessly, not thinking much about anything, when suddenly water started to trickle into the cave which we were in. Started as a small leak at first, but quickly grew into something that could have been problematic. Michael had taught me a little bit about how to manipulate the earth, and so we did that as best we could, and we sealed off that cavern, never to be seen again. Unfortunately for us, that manipulation of the earth caused the surrounding rock bed to weaken. There was a cave-in. Michael ended up being crushed to death beneath 100 tons of rock and slate. I tried digging, tried prying, tried as much as I could to get to Michael. I couldn't find him. He was gone. My hands were so numb, bloody, could barely hold on to my pack at that point. I noticed this little green gemstone in the wall of the cave. Hands already being numb as it was, I couldn't get to Michael, couldn't do anything. Decided I was going to pry that green gemstone free as a reminder. As a reminder of what happened that day. As a reminder to be more respectful of the elements. I walked for 3 days. Wandered with that green gemstone clutched in my fist. Lost and helpless and eventually real thirsty. I got desperate. Tried to find my way back to that sealed off cavern because either I was going to get a drink of water or I was going to drown myself. Either one way, I was going to have release. Never found it. What I did find was that suit of armor. And Sledge then comes walking past, and Jurgen again goes quiet, leaning his back up against the cave. Sledge walks down the other direction. Says, you see, I don't know, and I can't be certain if it was an experienced some sort of delirium due to dehydration. But I swear that that gemstone that I carried, it screamed inside my mind. It screamed for second life. I took that gemstone and I placed it inside the armor. The armor sprang to life. Immediately, all thought of water, thirst left my mind. I went to research mode. What is this thing? Why is it moving? Why is it twitching? Why is it convulsing there? I had a couple things I needed to discover real quick. Friend or foe? Is this alive or is this dead? Is it capable or is it feeble? Is it intelligent or is it a tool? And most importantly, was this Michael? Found. I can't explain. Undeniably, Sledge is alive. He is devastatingly capable, incredibly strong. He's intelligent. He can understand. He can reason. But without corruption, without experience. It's like a newborn babe. But it's not Michael. Has no memory of its former life. I gave it a name that day. Called it Designation 01. Desi for short. And we've been traveling together ever since.
How
Now,
did it? Oh, go ahead.
to say, you might be wondering why you call it Sledge. Short time later, we came across a hammer in our travels. Massive two-handed beast of a hammer. Made of pure gold. I couldn't lift it. Sledge, he had no problem. Picked it up, swung it right over his shoulder. He said he had dreams, which he never said before. Began having visions. Saw a cave he'd never been in. Saw people he'd never seen before nor since. But shortly after that, he desired to give himself a name. Something as a test to prove to himself that he was alive. He chose Sledge. Call him Sledge. Either way, try not to bring that up around him because it sends him into a fit.
Understandable.
Sledge walks past again, heading back the other direction.
Now that is very interesting.
That's what we're going back to get right now, is that hammer. Once we have that, we can be on our way.
How did you lose it?
We didn't lose it. We simply didn't want to bring it into the kingdom of the Dwarn. Because surely enough, they see something like that, they're going to want it. And while it's not, while it is against the law to steal from another Dwarn or to take property that's not your own, doesn't mean that it couldn't go missing. Doesn't mean that the king couldn't ask for it. And who's going to say no to a king, especially someone who's trying to petition his way back into the kingdom? Now, you've heard my story. Now you tell me yours. What brings you down here? Really? He leans back against the cave wall and just stares at each of you.
We arrived in Orin under our own agendas. Shortly after doing so, we were asked to earn our keep, so to speak. The leader of the city gave us a set of tasks to complete in order to earn our stay. We have completed some, and this other agenda to recover the necklaces of the fallen emissaries attempting to open trade with the Dwarf is next.
Does this call him a magister? Does he know anything about the dwarf?
We didn't ask him specifically.
I
That
reckon he
was
does. Because again,
I-
if he did, I don't think he'd be sending you down to try and trade with him.
It may be information we have to return to him.
If you want trade, you talk to the Peaked One. They're much more open to it. And he gestures over to Felix, the Breakers. They love trade.
I'm not a breaker.
Time will tell. Oh,
You're the story of Sledge. You mentioned his visions, his dreams of places and people. Do you believe there may be echoes of a past life? My hypothesis is green alchemite can only be created from death. From what we have seen, that seems to have been proven by the fire elementals we fought. If that green gem was created from the death of your friend, it would make sense that in its raw form he may not have any memories. But over time they may come back. Of course, this is all conjecture. I am not an expert.
If you said it was visions of things that you've never seen, caves you've never been to, you think these are caves that Michael has never been to either?
I only have the word of Sledge to go off of, and he says he'd never been to him before. Says the cave is made up of a metal. It's filled with buzzing and whirring instruments. Some technology he's never seen before.
I'm curious if this hammer has anything to do, well, it seems like, giving memories to this blank slate of life.
Potentially. The alchemite may just be fuel.
Could be.
Now, I'm simply an armorer. I make armor. That is my profession. That was my profession in the Dwarven Kingdom until I broke the law and found myself exiled. And they took my research. And I needed some way to start fresh. And making armor ain't cheap.
Just try to give life to that armor. What law did you break? You know the three they got me for.
Yes. This armor is against the law. I tried to give it life. I did give it life. An artificial life. But I turned to the Breakers for some time. They helped me with financing my research. But we didn't see eye to eye. So I left. And it seems I left quite an impression on them too.
Seems so.
I mean, it's my goal. The best armor any Dwarf has ever known. And this armor, I reckon, is better than that armor. And I only intend to make it better.
You seem to have worked out how to get around any power consumption issues. They have to keep feeding theirs.
Not people, I hope.
The
I don't think so.
first time, the visor's been down the whole time, but the visor comes up, and he just kind of chuckles at the hearing that, with the cigar in his mouth.
That would require intervention.
Wait, was Felix smoking in his armor with the visor closed?
Oh, he's been doing it this whole.
The helmet just kind of emits smoke. It's not the armor, it's Felix.
That's like the terrible grandma who has her grandkids in the car with all the windows up.
Like whenever the visor like opens up, well, this one's actually open on the bottom, so it hasn't been as bad, but it does just kind of cool out.
Yeah, the original armor reminds me of the Space Marines from StarCraft with the
Yep.
the cinematics that opens up and they have the big smoke comes out.
Yep.
That's great. Jurgen, you mentioned
That's-
in your previous occupation you were a researcher.
That's correct.
Something you said was interesting to me. Your words were, what went wrong and what happened?
Okay.
May I ask what you were investigating?
Well, I wasn't looking in particular for any given thing. Really just looking over the patterns of history, seeing if anything emerged. And the only thing that did was that there's something there. There's periods of time. You look over the records of the Dwarn kings. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. But they always seem to be in line with one another. There'd be an event or something, and then suddenly you'd have a bad Dwarn king, and then you'd have another bad, and then another bad, another bad. And then suddenly you'd have a good, then another good, another good. And then you'd have another bad. And I had to ask myself why. Why suddenly that change? Never
Is
found an
interesting.
answer.
It is an interesting question. Are there any gaps in your history?
Now that's a tricky question. You see, there's no gaps in our history, but there are gaps in our time.
Ah,
If you look at my watch here, and my timepiece here, and he holds it up, it says that it rattles off the date and time that it is. It says if you look at the one that exists in the Dwarn capital, a couple thousand years off. Now, I'm not sure why that is.
off as in ahead or behind?
Ahead. You're asking if I'm ahead, if it's ahead.
It's ahead.
It's ahead.
I see. Due to the age, oh, maybe I'll wait for Jack to get back. Come back, Jack.
Good.
Welcome back, sir. Due to the age and multiracial nature of Oran, the city on the coast east of here, being open just because he doesn't know where it is.
It wasn't mostly human.
No, there's an elm temple. There's a dwarven temple. We think there's
It's mostly human right now, but
yeah,
back when it was built, it seems, based on what we gather, it's every race was there. So
yeah.
we're guessing.
I misspoke. Mine is ahead.
Ah,
I had to consult my notes.
so wait, if yours is ahead,
That's right.
Do you know by how much?
Let me do some quick looking here.
Your notes.
About 6,000 years.
That's significant because if I recall what you read out loud earlier, I'm typically good at recollection on those things. There's about 3,700 years of Dwarven kings recorded in the law. And so you're saying there's another 6,000 years of Dwarven history that seems to have turned up missing.
I'm not sure if it's Dorn history, but it's history.
Does that time, is that all at once? Or is it in between? Does it fall between the kings? Is it split up?
Not sure how I'd know that.
if the dwarven records pick up where they left off, unfortunately, I don't think there would be gaps. The only evidence of, well, my cyclical cataclysm theory would be this timepiece. As I was mentioning earlier, Orin seems to be exceptionally ancient and very mysterious. It holds temples for different races. It has different regions of the city with different flora and seemingly biomes. And most of it now lies under the ocean due to some sort of event, of a natural disaster of sorts. And there's evidence of gaps in history, orally and I'm not sure if written, in the other races, from what I can tell. And that seems to align with this missing time you may have. If at some point something on a global scale does happen, and it affects everyone, then the clock may keep ticking or stop, and newer timepieces would be more accurate.
Well, I'd like to think that mine is more accurate. So thank you.
Unfortunately, that reinforces more questions. Something has happened to the world, perhaps multiple times, and will happen again, but we don't know what
When?
or when.
What, besides your watch, what is the newest timepiece? Each settlement has its own, right?
At least every official settlement. The breakers have set up their own camps of sorts, and those certainly don't have timepieces. They don't care.
Are new
But,
timepieces made?
no,
Or are they left over from previous?
the only timepieces that exist are those that are in the Dwarven capitals. You probably don't know this, having been from here, each Dwarn capital or city is built exactly the same. Exact same specs, same layout. They all have the same timepiece. They're all built right around the same time, it seems.
Do we know when they were built, though?
They appear to be 3,000-ish years old. What was that number you said earlier, Tree Man? 4,300?
37.
3,700. That one. Yeah. They seem to be about that old.
And Jurgen,
you
did
can
you?
call me. You can call me Wander. I think
Tara.
we're close enough friends now.
That's a
All right.
long time
All right.
between then and the creation of your timepiece.
That it is.
So you did not create the timepiece you wear.
No, I did.
You did create it.
Correct. Who's ringing your doorbell?
Yeah, I guess I'll go check if that's okay.
Oh,
We can take a
weird.
break.
At 8:08 at
Yeah.
night?
Right.
He's been
Uh-oh, don't get murdered.
Let's take a break. Everybody get some water and go pee.
All right, I'll be back.
All right,
I
bye.
want to see if Alex keep your mic on in case you get hurt.
Why do you want to hear him get hurt?
To call the police? Or to call Spencer in Colorado?
Yep.
Spencer, there's an emergency. Come
Alex
save
has been
Alex.
hurt.
Alex is hurt. I need you to go get him. Oh. Guess I'll just sit here. So, Luca, can you hear me?
Yeah, what's up?
Oh, I didn't know if you could hear me or not. Do you know approximately when your construction will be done? Like when move-in is? Do you have like a time, like a guesstimate of when it's at?
So right now they put us at approximately December, but with all of this, we've had a lot of trouble. And like initially, we actually walked away from this builder, and we weren't going to go forward with it because essentially it's a smaller builder. Like the national ones have like a lot of better process in place. The smaller
Yeah.
builders, they work with like local like real estate agencies. They consult to like sell the property and the like land essentially, and they. So what we wound up doing was getting in contact with the real estate agents, which is it's through Remax. I got in contact with these people about the property itself, and then they said, "Oh, we represent like the builder or whatever,
Who's the builder?
Mark Elliott Homes."
Okay.
And so they said, "Well, we represent them." Blah blah blah. This is what you. They explained like very briefly the process because we went to one of the model homes and we met with someone who's like the co-listing agents. There's like two people that we're working with. And so she explained some stuff. She threw some numbers around, and we were like, "Oh, okay. Well, I guess that kind of makes sense." And then they were incredibly difficult to get like any additional information out of.
Oh.
It was super annoying and super frustrating. And so we wound up saying, "You know what? We're probably just going to walk away because they're not giving us enough information." And then they also kind of called out a troubling thing, which is like the price in lumber right now is so crazy that there's a stipulation in the contract agreement that says like they will only cover 5% of
yeah.
increase.
You were talking about
Is-
that in chat.
And they offered no additional information outside of that. And so my brother-in-law, who's our agent, he was like, "I can't comfortably tell you guys to move forward with this. Like they're not forthcoming with information. They're like the numbers they're giving us are changing. There's this 5% clause stipulation that I personally wouldn't feel very comfortable with the level of information they've given us so far. Would you guys continue moving forward with them?" And when we said, "Yeah, no, you're right. We don't feel good about it." And so what we wound up doing was we went and talked to a big national builder in Lake Elmo. Hey, Alex is alive.
Hooray, Alex lives.
They brought you water.
Yeah.
So we wound up going to talk to a national builder in Lake
Glad you
Elmo.
didn't die, Alex.
A bunch of what appear to be 10-year-old girls ding dong ditching me.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Shoot him with a crossbow.
I saw them going down the driveway as I was peeking out the window, and when I opened the door, they're down the street a bit. So it looks like the neighbor girls. Yeah.
Oh, or maybe selling Girl Scout cookies? It's that time of year, I think.
No, they were not. They weren't wearing the outfits, and they're running away on scooters. So I doubt it.
Okay.
Maybe they were harvesting organs, and you were lucky enough to not answer the door quick enough to be killed.
I could probably kill them
I-
pretty easily.
I'm sorry, Luca. I totally interrupted, though. I do want to hear the
No.
rest of what you were saying.
No, okay, no. So after the first small builder or whatever, we went and we decided let's talk to some other builders just to get an idea of like the other processes, just so we're not like pigeonholed to one builder. And so we went to talk to a national builder, like a bigger one in Lake Elmo, and then we also talked to another builder that was building that had plots of land in both Cottage Grove and Lake Elmo, the same like Lake Elmo area in the exact same neighborhood of the first builder that we talked to.
Who's
And
the
so-
Lake Elmo builder?
Pulte.
Okay.
They're a
know
national
them.
chain. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're a
they're huge.
national chain. And so like we sat down with them for like 40 minutes to an hour or whatever, and we already felt much better just talking to them because they like the dude who works there works for Pulte. He doesn't work for Remax. He's not a selling agent
Yep.
for another firm. Like he works for the company. And so it was just a lot easier. Like they're way more forthcoming with information. So we sat down and like he gave us a ton of info and like exactly what's custom, what's not, what's upgrades, blah blah blah, what base prices are. And it was just really helpful. And then we went to go talk to another smaller builder in the Cottage Grove area. We met them in Lake Elmo, but they also sell land here. And he explained the process from like a smaller builder's perspective. And so we started piecing things together. Like,
Mhm.
okay, the Remax agents are not telling us these things specifically, but talking to the other two builders, we had a good enough grasp of what they offered that they weren't very forthcoming with. And so we kind of talked more and the original builders or whatever asked like if we were still interested, and so we said yeah because the initial layout that we liked, and it's in the area we liked and we felt better about the information that we got, so we asked a few more clarifying questions and we finally got a little bit more information, and so we felt a little more comfortable and we decided, screw it, let's take, we're not risky people, but we could probably just take the risk. My brother-in-law seems to believe we'll be able to get our money back if things go too sideways. But that said, we had like a laundry list of additional questions for them that we sent over. We signed the contract, we cut them a check, and they still haven't responded to us. So it's getting pretty frustrating, and I'm getting a
Oh.
little nervous about it
Ooh.
now.
Yikes.
Hmm.
They have. How long has it been?
So we signed Tuesday. We signed on Tuesday, and I sent a check on Tuesday, I think. And we
And they
sent the questions on Tuesday. Yeah, and it's the selling agents. It's not that I don't not trust the builder. Everything we've researched about the builder and their process, for the most part, has really good reviews and are pretty distinguished. It's the selling agents that are awful and just making it harder to get information. So actually, like an hour or so ago, Becca's brother emailed us saying like they still haven't got any responses. He's gonna do a follow-up call tomorrow. I'm probably gonna reach out to the builder directly at this point and be like, hey,
Yeah.
I just cut you guys a large check. We're not getting information from the selling agents. We need answers
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
now
absolutely. I mean, that's
because this is getting ridiculous.
it's a huge.
The
sum of
builder
money.
just might not know too.
Well, I'd
Like,
imagine the
how-
builder was the one that not know that they're not being forthcoming.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guarantee they don't. They don't.
I mean, I would
that's-
make sure to let the builder know and see how they react. Like if he's super apologetic and like, oh my gosh, let us fix this, or if he's just like, yeah, whatever, that's how
Right,
it is,
because-
then you can.
You would think that would be the case because if you walk away, the builders don't get money. So I'm sure they would be.
Oh,
The
accept his down
ones-
payment.
Yeah, I'm sure they would be the ones being like, yeah, let's make this guy happy so we can get paid to our jobs and live. While the other people, I don't know. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, it's definitely a stressful situation. It's a risky thing we did. Becca and I were well aware that we were taking a risk, especially moving forward with like these two specific selling agents who haven't been very forthcoming. And it's like all the stuff we asked is like reasonable stuff that we got the information from another builder, but they don't seem to have the information for us. Spencer.
So one, Crystal says that sounds really awful.
Yeah.
because I didn't change the stream or anything. So everything you said is now recorded and will forever be remembered on the internet.
World.
And 2, American Financing does they have sellers here in Minnesota. If you want to work with American home agents, if the ones you have don't end up working out.
Is there a reason? Go ahead.
Now, the people selling the plot to us, we don't have a choice. Like, they were contracted by the builder specifically.
As the sales team. Yeah.
As the sales team.
I was gonna say, why can't you just work with the builders directly? That seems to be the easiest way to go.
Right. No, there's some ethical stuff too included, because Becca's brother, like, he can't in good faith go like around the listing agents or the selling agents. Like, from an ethics perspective, it's kind of frowned upon. I, as the buyer, don't give 2 honks, and if I don't get some clarity by tomorrow, I'm reaching out to the builder directly and telling them, like, listen, we just cut you guys a check. They are not giving us information that we literally need to know how much additional money we're gonna have to be putting toward this freaking house. Like, sod apparently isn't included. Like, we have
Sod's
to pay for
never
sod.
included. It's never included in a new build.
Facade?
Really?
Yeah, the sod, yeah, which is
Like
fine.
the front of the house?
No,
Like
sod, the grass.
I thought he said facade. And I'm like, the front of the house? Like, what?
Yeah,
That
we're
was the
getting a
case for all
dollhouse.
the
We're getting a
builders that we
dollhouse.
work with. Too.
Facade. Just don't
I-
plant anything there. It'll be fine.
I would say, for peace of mind and for the sake of the mere fact that it's been more than 48 hours, which is plenty of time, I would just call the builders tomorrow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I
probably
would
what I'm
too.
gonna do.
There's no reason to wait.
Yep, that's probably what I'm gonna do.
Megan to chew them out for you.
Get Becca to do it.
Shh. No,
No,
Megan.
get Megan to do it.
Megan's there.
Megan, yes, great.
Megan, they're being mean to me.
She will tear them a new one.
Yeah, so like the sod was one thing. They said, oh, that's additional cost. Like, okay, fine, whatever. It's not included in the base price, cool. But like, what else isn't included in the base price? Like, they just haven't been very forthcoming. So like, if sod needs to be done and it's not included in the base price, whatever. I understand the cost or the whatever, but I'm just really nervous that there's other stuff there that the selling agents haven't told us, and we've cut them a check, so
Get gravel instead and raise Mad Max babies.
that's what I said. I was like, let's do this. Let's do this like South.
Grass is for wimps.
Plant the prairie mix.
Mm-hmm.
Go native.
Clover.
Your
Clover
HOA
can
will
get up
hate
there.
you and probably run you out of the HOA.
You can just like dig up the creeping Charlie from my backyard, and that will.
Ooh, I
cover
got
your-
some too.
I can bring it from my yard.
Yeah.
I can send you clippings that you can just disperse around the neighborhood.
Sprinkle. No, if they screw us over, I will make sure to do that later on.
Luca does have a good druid feel with his hairstyle currently. get some pine cones and
Go fall on eco terror.
some needles. Yeah.
Creeping
Enough-
Charlie is beautiful when it blooms. It's beautiful.
It
Purple
smells pretty
flowers.
nice too,
Smells nice. It looks nice, and it's invasive.
and it's
just
everywhere.
me.
Like
Everywhere.
influencers. Smells nice, looks nice, and invasive. All right. Anyway.
Smells nice.
And it's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
Everywhere. Anyway, back to D&D, where there's no social media influencers.
I take a selfie with Jurgen.
But you can build a house.
My next bard is going to be a social media influencer.
College of Glamour, baby.
Oh no.
It's a real thing. Mordenkainen's, I think they came out with College of Glamour. Anyway, so you now find yourselves in the tunnel still.
So wait,
Uh,
I'm confused about something. If the cities were built 3,700 years ago,
Yes.
but the clocks are off by about 6,000 years,
According to his reckoning, yes. According to the timepiece that he has.
right? So I'm trying to I'm just assuming everything is right. What are the rules for that to happen? Would
Time stopped, but
Well,
not
yeah.
really.
Would that be city built, time passed, then frozen time passed, frozen time, or something
Yep,
like that?
it-
Okay.
I also
My,
wouldn't
my
assume-
guess, my theory is temporal shenanigans.
I mean,
So I'm gonna and this is only slight spoilers, I'm going to throw out the idea of time travel because I'm not that bad of a writer.
Yeah.
Okay.
But temporal shenanigans can still happen, right? I mean,
Still a
time
cop-out.
stop is a spell in D&D.
That's true. Yeah.
Are you saying temporal or tempura shenanigans? I need to
Both.
know.
It's
Now
just
I'm
shrimp everywhere.
Just deep fried Dwarf. That's just.
Well, we also don't know where in the timeline the cities were built too. So like time could have started here, passes, then cities were built, and then passes.
Right.
I mean,
I'm
it just
assuming
sounded
this
like
is-
you were assuming times were built at when time started. Sorry, towns were built when time started. But that isn't necessarily the case, right?
True.
We're assuming that Jurgen's clock is like a true universal time because he's tapped into the elements.
Right.
I was
No,
I
his
was
clock isn't as old as the city clock, though. It's thousands
Yep.
of years ahead.
Right. Which means that something happened to make the city clocks stop tracking time.
Yeah, when it was made, it like got the right timestamp,
Right.
and then but the old ones, since the crazy stuff happened, which we don't know, the time was like corrupted.
That's Council's confusion because it's like the old city clocks haven't synced with the server. They're out of sync, whereas the new one is accurate
Or-
because it's brand new.
Tinfoil hat. Maybe they're being kept wrong on purpose.
Oh yeah, maybe.
So, according to Jurgen, the Dwarven Kingdom is 6,000 years older than the current records are indicating.
That's how I
Yes.
took it.
Okay.
But they have no gaps in the records.
Yeah,
That's
but
the thing.
you know,
They have gaps in time. So which
Yep.
would mean that there's record keeping, time stops, or something happens, some event, and then record keeping immediately picks up again with no gaps. So the people aren't aware of that, because I feel like if they were, it'd be written down.
they found the Elder Scrolls. That's all.
Oh no!
Are we doing all this in character, or are we horrifically table talking?
We're I don't know.
I would totally do all of this in character. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm going in
Yeah, I
character.
was gonna say we should say we're having this conversation in character.
Yeah.
can I get a clarifying? I had to help put Roast down with my video was off earlier.
Sure.
We said maybe this is me just misremembering. 3,700 years. What was that? The cities, like the world we've established, is 3,700 years old.
No, the Dwarven cities were
history.
built.
The history of the Dwarn is 3,700 years old.
there
Recorded
are
history.
there are 37 kings.
Hmm.
Each king has only been a king for 100 years.
Thank you.
If you look at the law, which I put into chat,
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
one of
I wasn't.
the first law is all kings to serve for exactly 100 years so as to avoid abuse of power. That was laid as an edict by King the First.
There are some interesting laws.
I was reading from the bottom up for some reason. I didn't read from the top
Fair.
down. I didn't see that one.
There's one that Felix has always found interesting, in that it must exist for a reason. That is, it is permissible to kill a god if the opportunity is presented.
That's the exact one that I saw earlier, and I was like, "Oh,
It's
that's
like the only reason
Mhm.
why that one exists is because it may have happened.
Mm.
And
yes, Bjorn, I agree."
if you look at edict number 33, it explains why most of the populace does not care about what the timepiece really says. It says only dedicated historians may look at records older than 1,000 years, laid down by Rune the Third.
And are you one of those historians?
Not exactly. I could look
So,
back 1,000 years, but I could not look into the deep archives.
oh, so you are a historian, but not a dedicated historian.
That's correct. If you think of historians or librarians like an army, I'm maybe like a corporal. You need to be like 5-star general to be looking at stuff older than 1,000 years. Top level clearance.
Ah, that's a good clarification. Another question, could it be that the first law that a king may only serve for 100 years?
Hmm.
This is something I don't know about Dwarven culture, and you can tell me whether or not this would be plausible, is could there have been certain Dwarven kings that wanted to serve for more than 100 years, and so created a period of time where history wasn't kept? And could that have added up to that much time? Perhaps if multiple kings.
That would
Not
be
a
60
bad.
kings.
Does sound like a potential loophole.
How long do Dorn typically live?
The only thing that, well, hang on. Unless those kings came before King the First, it would have been against the law to have done as such.
He's king the first, understood to be the king when the records began being taken.
That's correct. To our knowledge, King the First was the first king.
Next time Sledge walks by, I'd like to walk up to him.
Okay. Probably about that time, Sledge is passing by.
Um, I walk up to him and match his pace, and as we're walking along, I pull out the compass and just kind of show it to him and say, "You recognize this? Does it mean anything to you?"
Oh, yeah. He just kind of stares at you.
Is he still walking?
Mhm.
Where is the compass pointing?
What are you looking for?
So, at this point, I'd still be thinking of what was beyond that door. Kind of what led us west in the first place, the way to get around to the other side.
A map. Yeah, it would be still pointing kind of east northeast.
Um. Okay, I'll walk back. I'd like to also show it to Jurgen. Does do you recognize this at all? I show him the compass.
Yeah,
Yeah, I hand it to him.
he takes it and looks it over. Says that's a mighty fine compass. Can't say I recognize anything about it. Where's it pointing? He hands it back.
Well, it's the thing. It seems to point at whatever I desire at the moment, or am most in thought about.
So you're telling me you came down here and you weren't thinking about the place you were supposed to be going?
I'm not too sure about that. the See, in the city where we came from, there's something underneath it. We're not quite exactly sure what it is, and we're hoping to find all ways in the city were blocked to get below it. So as we traveled west to reach these mountains, I was hoping to find another way in.
What do you say is beneath the city?
Well, we're not sure yet. Some have called it the heart of the city.
The heart of any. Wait, what? Heart of any city.
World.
Oh,
Heart of
yes,
the-
sorry. The
Minor
world.
correction.
Yep, sorry. Heart
Fine.
of the world, not city.
Well, the heart of the
That-
world is the core. Why would you want to go there?
It is a long
But-
and fairly complicated story, unfortunately.
Aye. And at least the way I was to take it, it didn't seem to be the center of our world at the core. Perhaps above there in a more figurative way, so to speak.
Right?
If we know the fate of those who came from Orin to the mountains,
Hmm.
we also need to recover the necklaces. And from what you say, establishing trade with
Wade.
the trade with the Chasm Dwarf may not be wise, but the Peaked Dwarf may be the way to go. Which means we would have to leave the mountain anyway. Which begs the question, if we were to continue to follow the compass, which seems to ignore obstacles and point directly the way we need to go, would you be willing to guide us through these tunnels to do so?
To lead you back out of the mountain?
Well, okay, council gestures to where the compass is pointing
Yeah.
to take us there.
Deeper, perhaps.
Sure.
We have
You think
nothing
it's
to offer.
pointing in the direction of where you found those necklaces?
See the compass again?
I hand it to him.
He looks at it. Kind of does a little reckoning. He waits for Sledge to come back. Calls over Sledge. It's a Sledge. You think that's about where our stuff is? Sledge nods affirmatively. Yeah, looks like you're headed that direction.
Wonderful.
Your stuff.
That's right.
By your stuff, do you mean your belongings,
That's right. Where we
including
stashed our.
your hammer?
That's right.
Interesting.
Council slowly tilts his head. When attempting to touch the compass to the door, it was repelled. I wonder if this hammer is some sort of key. If it is ancient, and the city is ancient, and the way we seek to get under the city is pointing potentially toward this hammer, maybe that is the way in.
Is this a very small hammer?
Not a literal
It's-
key, Tizzle.
No.
Oh, okay. Okay, I understand.
Thank you for that clarification. My mind was in the same place.
I'm sure it's a little teeny tiny little hammer.
It is logical to believe a key would fit inside of a keyhole. I don't know why I'm the jerk in this situation.
Are there tunnels that you know of that would head east, far east, beyond the entrance of these caves?
Nope.
You mean
All the-
under the city?
Aye. then perhaps Kate. I almost called you Caden. Council.
No,
Your name says
justice.
Caden on the screen. Perhaps, Council, you're onto something.
Although I do
Well-
not wish to attempt to take this object that belongs to Jurgen on a hypothesis.
Nor do I say we should take it from them, but maybe since our newfound friends here to accompany us.
That would be
We
ideal.
might wait until we see what the compass is really pointing at.
Agree.
Aye. A bit
Planning
of
for an
rest.
eventuality.
Aye. A bit of rest, and perhaps we could be on our way if Jurgen and Sledge were willing.
I think certainly we'd be able to take you back to where these necklaces are, back to where our belongings are. But then we have our own plans to head west, as I said previously.
Well, it's a start.
All right. Council goes to bed.
Yeah. Honk shoe.
We're doing watches still.
Doing watches.
Felix was first, I think. Tizol
Yep.
second. I'm third.
During Felix's watch, he's just going to be working on something that fits in his hand.
Make me perception check at disadvantage.
Got 10.
10. Other than Sledge kind of marching back and forth, you don't really notice much of anything. Who's got second watch?
I'm watching. I'm keeping an eye out for everything, but I do want to keep a closer eye on if anyone moves deeper into the cavern. Like if Sledge moves down there, I'm going to kind of keep a closer eye.
Okay. Go for it.
6.
6 total?
Yeah.
Are you drunk again?
Tizol's just sound asleep.
Tizzle is actually like this. His hair's in his eyes.
Yeah, but Tizol. His
Wait, Tizol has
feathers.
hair?
His feathers.
His feathers are banged forward. No, you notice Sledge moving back and forth, but that's about it. Other than that, pretty quiet down here. You hear the occasional drip coming from back the way you came.
Council's up next.
Council.
Before, basically, while he relieves me of my duties, I would lead in and kind of whisper,
We should be wary of they being led to their treasure if it may be beneficial to us.
I am
We do.
confident we can come to an amicable conclusion, but I understand your concern.
Does amicable mean murder?
It means
Yes, it does.
mutually agreeable.
I admire your optimism.
he goes, but
You said relieve you of your duties.
Don't take my poo, Tezol. All right, I'm rolling perception at disadvantage, you said?
Do you
No.
have dark vision?
I do not have dark vision.
Are you lighting a torch or anything?
Well, Council was gonna go down the tunnel and do a bit of reading.
Okay.
Oh, this is gonna go well.
oh god,
Okay, so yeah, you definitely roll a disadvantage.
Okay.
he's gonna blow a hole into the side
Oh,
of the
jeez.
mountain.
It's gonna
Well-
summon 5 of those beetles.
I rolled a 16. Oh, wait, disadvantage. Frick. Okay, 12 plus 5. 17.
17?
17.
Don't you take the 16?
Yeah, because it's disadvantage.
Yeah. I rolled 16 and then I rolled a 12.
Oh,
Okay.
the raw number was 16. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Then you are able to hear pretty well. Throughout portions of the night, or throughout this portion of the night,
Mhm.
at not regular intervals, you do occasionally like feel a little bit of rumbling in the ground, and then it goes away. Almost like a train passing. You know, like it starts soft and then gets a little bit more intense and then gets
Yeah.
soft again.
Like giant beetles burrowing underneath us?
That's what I was thinking.
Could be.
Okay.
Could be.
If at any point they feel like they're getting too close,
Right.
sprinting back.
Yeah. Otherwise, you mostly just hear Sledge stomping around, and you hear the occasional drip from the caves.
Okay. Toward the end of my watch, just to make sure Council fulfills his actual duties of being awake, he's going to grab his 2 pieces of leather
Mhm.
or wood. I think it was leather. I don't know.
I think it was leather.
And he's gonna leave his stuff because he doesn't look like he's leaving, and he's gonna go about 500 feet back the way we came.
500 feet back the way you came.
Yep.
Are you taking a light source with you?
Yeah, torch.
Okay. So you light up a torch and start heading back that way.
Mm.
As you pass Sledge, you do like watch him watch you
Mm.
as he just continues to march.
So Council says, "I will be back shortly."
And Sledge just keeps walking.
Okay.
Okay.
Once
So
I
you
get
go
off-
back past the dripping sound, past where the water is dripping in from the roof of this cave.
Mm. I'm gonna set up my torch somewhere on the wall so I don't have to hold it. I'm going to kneel, facing the wall.
Okay.
I'm going to take out the lockbox from my hip. Gonna unchain it, unlock it, open it, take out the journal.
Okay.
I'm going to do the same things before, cover it in the leather pieces, open it so I can't see it, kind of feel like I have some sort of bookmark so I know where I was, like a piece of cloth or something. And then I'll pick up from where I left off.
Okay.
One word at a time.
One, how much of this would you like me to say in front of the rest of the group?
Well,
All of it.
oh, I
Go.
didn't reveal the last thing you sent me because you typed it to me.
True.
Big reveal. Big reveal.
Council is planning to reveal this anyway.
But is Alex planning on it?
I think. Yeah, we could reveal this, and then I'll think about revealing the last thing you said. Unless this is more juicy, then I'll regret it. But it's fine. It's fine.
So would you like to do similar to the last one, like one word at a time until you get to a period?
Yeah, one word at a time until the impending agony begins to kick in.
The first word that you read. So you find first you find the first what you read the last time.
Okay.
Reading it this time, because you read it as a whole sentence.
Mhm.
It's not as palpable.
Okay.
You don't have that like immediately like sense of horrible dread.
Okay. Because yeah, last time when I got to the last word, it was like, okay, no, thank you.
The first word is my.
Okay. How do I feel?
Roll me a insight check, a self insight.
Insight. All right, me. How am I doing? That's a 12. What is my insight? I don't even know. 5. Cool. So 17. All these social skills.
You're feeling okay. Not perfect, but only because you're reading this as like one continuation of the last sentence.
Right, right. And is this feeling like dread as in something's coming, I'm in danger, or I'm afraid of myself, like I feel something, or is it like what is if possible?
That's a good question. It is. It's kind.
Might be difficult without revealing anything.
It is a fear of something bad happening, not necessarily coming, not necessarily you doing something bad.
Okay. Kind of like disarming a bomb. Like if I mess this up, boom, kind of thing. Is that
Right.
accurate? Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
It's something between disarming a bomb and having lived through disarming a bomb poorly the last time.
Oh gosh. Okay.
There's a little bit of PTSD with it.
Okay.
So
All right.
it's not just, oh, this could be bad. It's like, oh, it could be that bad. Oh, gosh.
Right. Okay. Word number 2.
Body.
Oh no. All right. How do I feel?
Make me another insight check.
Please be above 10. Another 10. Oh no, that's less. So that's 15.
15.
It's got 12 last time.
That feeling grows a little stronger.
Okay.
Next.
He's gonna kind of look at the ceiling, kind of ground himself, staring at the light. Kind of look at his gloved hands, and just he's gonna go for another one.
Is.
Okay. Insight check.
Yeah, make me an insight check.
Oh boy.
Body's ready.
13 plus 5, 18.
18.
Body's ready. Oh no.
Those 3 words by themselves don't necessarily mean anything or anything bad. It could be something good, could be something bad. You're not sure. You don't remember exactly. You don't feel as bad as you did after reading Body.
Okay. Okay. And I have no recollection of what I read before the previous disaster, so I don't know if I got this far or not.
You know that you've been this far. You know that much.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. We'll go for one more. Risking it.
Are these R. Kelly lyrics by chance, and it's my body's telling me yes?
Yes.
Please.
4th word is my.
My body is my. Oh, I really want to know what the next word is. Do I roll again or?
Check. Sure.
This dice has been doing so well, and I roll a freaking 7. 12.
You feel like you're not 1 step away from the edge, but you're probably 5. It's getting to that point where you're at the lip of the Grand Canyon, and that call of the void starts going in the back of your mind. Like, what if you just like jumped off? Like, what happened?
Okay. Consul steals himself and does another one. This is
Okay.
his life work.
Okay. Own. Period.
I slam shut the journal.
Okay. Make me another insight check.
Ooh. I rolled a 1.
Make me a Constitution check.
Oh no!
Oof.
What's gonna
Check or save?
happen? Is it a save or was it check?
It is a check.
Check. Well, I rolled a
Harder.
6. So 10.
10. We'll go ahead and end the session there.
No!
No.
Oh,
Rip.
ooh.
I'm just gonna turn around and fire elementals and be like, wrong neighborhood, Mo Sakura!
What was the last word? I missed it.
Own.
Oh,
Oh,
my body is my
body's-
own.
My body's my,
My
own.
body is
Period.
my own. Period.
Knowing what the previous sentence was, that one is even cooler. That's amazing.
So I have a feeling Council's not who we think he is.
I mean, I don't even know that. I have a feeling Council isn't who he is either.
Yeah, like, somebody's got
Council.
to deity or something.
Council is actually a sentient sword trapped in a human body.
We've never had that one before.
I am
It's
the
just possessing the dead body.
I'm the journal. I'm trying to get
I'm
my
the
own
journal.
attention.
Gura Council.
Gura Council. Council
But
Trock.
what,
Counts a truck.
what was the previous line? I didn't hear that.
None of us
He didn't-
did.
I
know.
haven't said it, you know.
I know.
Secrets.
When I know Spencer's working on it, but when I know more about what Council has read, he will probably reveal things to the group. Unless it's
Oh.
way too spicy, then I won't.
I can tell you that much.
Next session, we'll roleplay it.
Okay.
Thank you
If you
for.
start, if you
If
it's
we get a
fine,
chance to
I
roleplay.
am 500 feet away from the group at this point.
Rip.
Live.
And if it's anything like that bandit encounter with the previous one, it's going to take 10 rounds for you guys to get to me.
run fast.
Well, and there's also multiple choices down tunnels where you could have gone.